Okay. Good morning. Well, Elaine, how you doing? I hope you didn't fall asleep on your keyboard. That would be bad. The screen does all right. I started the stream, then realized that I did not take the garbage can out, so I had to go and sort that out. Okay. I think I go replace a fan in my computer. It's not. It's ticking strangely. Okay, so yesterday after stream, I got the CI YAML working to the point where it will build the unit tests for the branch that it's running against. So right now, this isn't perfect because obviously we might not change. It's a good morning so far, just chipping away at work. It's got to start to the day. Yeah, work. Apart. Yeah, we'll come back around on those afterwards. That's a whole different challenge. So I made a change to the CI YAML, basically because now I'm using two branches. If I check out, if I make a branch for the code, right? So in this one, indicate user has planning item subscription. What I need to do is also check out the same branch of the foundation library, or the development branch if the branch doesn't exist. So if you create a branch of the same name, it should build. If not, it should fall back on the development. So I don't know. I don't really have a testable scenario other than the one that I've got the same branch. So right now, good morning, Deflux, by the way. Right now, what we do is we get the branch name off the current GitHub ref, and that becomes branch, and then we can use that down here. So make that bigger. We can use that down here and say the reference, the ref, the branch is the extract branch value. So I think that's enough. I can't find any way of testing if this exists or not, if this branch exists. So what's going to happen is if I don't have a branch of the same name, this is going to fail. So we'll fix that when we get to it, I think. We'll try and figure that out in the next steps. Yeah, that's that. Zoom on here does not have a keyboard shortcut. Awesome. Okay, so that is indicate user has planning item subscription. So we saw yesterday that was working. After stream, I gave that a test, went through that several times, made sure the messages were flowing through the system. and everything looked like it was working fine. And a few more tweaks here and there to do post stream, but nothing of any major value. So we're going to make a PR for this one. Request. Indicate user has planning items. Now the challenge is I also have to do that. With foundation as well. So here we include a new event type. And that's why this will fail if this doesn't get the right branch in the Liquid Sky build. So this is that process. This is quite a lot of changes. Introduced a new integration event, introduced publishing the integration event when the notification was added, introduced some more unit tests, added the ability for the client to see it. It was kind of taking a lot, and I'm not wholly certain that doing everything from one side to the other is the best way of approaching that story. Maybe I could have done the up to the publishing and then taken the receiving and displaying as a separate story. Obviously, when I'm working on my own, it's fine. But if I was working with others, maybe those tasks could be done in parallel, and you can mock the events, etc. So we'll create the pull request there. So into development, we have one file changed. That's just the integration event. So from this side, it's pretty easy. Confirm merge. Hold on. I'm going to squash and merge these from now on, I think. One commit, delete the branch, and then squash and merge. Confirm squash and merge. Delete the branch. Okay. I've got to move forward. I can't keep so we're going to check out development there. We're going to check out development there. Fetch changes. And we are going to update that one. And we're going to update. Yeah, 53 files updated. Now we can delete that branch. And we can delete that branch. Okay. Okay. So what's next? As you can see, we're doing a lot of research in GitHub Actions. So at the point, I'm at the point where we can now see that we now see the little whether the iconography is good or not is not the problem right now. It's kind of kind of mentioned this yesterday on one line stream, right? The iconography. Um, I'm not a believer in relying upon icons because icons are easily interpreted. Not easily misunderstood because they're down to an individual's interpretation of what the icon action means. We do have some icons that are kind of common and have become commonplace, but you have to work on them to make them become commonplace, like the ellipses menu, the burger menus, etc. These are icons that just became synonymous with the behavior, um, rather than being actually a standard. But when you go to pictographs, I suppose, it really does come down to either common use or interpretation. So, like here, collapse. Right, I can collapse these panels. I can expand these panels. Morning Apex, how you doing? But wording is more common. A star normally means favorite, right? The little down arrow means there's going to be a drop down there. So there's certain things that are standard, but then everything else doesn't necessarily mean, uh, So all my icons in Liquid Sky right now, which should run. Well, how's the stream? I like iconography. Apex, thank you very much for 8 months. Appreciate that. Um, yeah, it's a challenge though, right? And I think it's one. There's over time you train to use a system, right? And if you're using a system like Liquid Sky, then you're going to spend a lot of time in it. So you're going to get used to the way that things are represented. It's going to seem confusing at first. You're going to have to get used to things. So I like words on the screen to tell you what something is rather than pictures because you got to spend that time hovering over things and doing all that fun stuff, right? See if this kicks into life. Now 13 projects have to start to get the full stack. Uh, yeah, 13. Um, Kind of debating what it is I want to work on next is why I'm kind of chatting a little bit here. Okay, so again, there's no icons particularly in here. I mean, collapse, expand, right? Um, if we click on this, I'm using this for collapse, right? Which isn't, you know, this is kind of a common thing. I'm using that as detail, and I'm using the message with the heart as a notification icon, but that again is not standard. You get used to it if you saw it all over the application, but I'm not trying to worry too much about the icons right this second and preferring where possible to use words. So let's change this to be September 11th. Did that change then? That didn't change, did it? Let's move these around. August 4th. Yeah, gonna have some usability issues here eventually. I think what might end up happening is I don't know about that actually. What I could do is have and I'm kind of dreaming here a little bit, is I could use the store so that when I navigate away, I put it in the store and then hold an apply button and then have a pending changes and then apply pending changes. So you can move things around on the screen without um, without actually updating them and then apply all the changes at once. View date from August 13th to September 7th. View date. Overall, the changes seem to be working. I think they're working in general. Ah, okay. We're at the point now where the application, like, when I have a red message, it should no longer show as unread. As a user, I should be able to subscribe from a planning item. These are these are larger features because this one particularly has an implication with it that I'm kind of deferring on. Mainly that to mark this as red, I would have. Pardon me. Good morning, Delta. To mark this as red, I would have to have that data in the. I'd have to have an API in the view side, which I don't want, which means that um, I'm off on that piece. We're getting there. We're getting there. I think we're close. Not really far off, is it? Our planning items are more likely to be epics. Um, the way that some PMs lay stories out, they could be. And the reason I do want to do the planning items is very much because I think that people kind of explore um 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 I think it is if the story is a long ways away, you'd want to store it pretty big picture. Yeah, and I've seen planning. I've seen stories that have had quite a lot of detail in them that you then say, oh no, well that's actually an epic, let's break it up. And then you have a story that you've now got to break up and figure out where all the details go. And that's kind of what I'm trying to avoid with this piece is make this more an evolution. And again, initiatives would roll up planning items. Right. So I think it's feasible that a planning item, because it's the way they think about it versus the way we think about it, right? Them and us. That's not healthy. But if a PM is sat down and trying to think through what they want to do and how they want to see it, they shouldn't have to worry about, well, that's that part of the screen and that's that part of the system and that's the database and this is this. They shouldn't have to be concerned about that. We should be able to tackle that and then take the requirements and move them into the right stories. So to dog food this, I'm not going to develop actual stories. I need to be able to develop the ideas. We should do more user types rather than we have to add a customer mobile app something. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a general one. Okay. So kind of how do you capture the pie in the sky is different than leading down the path of a detailed plan. Yeah, exactly. It's like this is aimed at allowing that kind of randomness that a PM is going to have. It's allowing the PM to enter the information they think they want so that that can be discussed without actually making it work that's set. I saw some stuff last week. I'm just trying to recall. There was something I particularly liked about it, and I can't remember the package. Um, so how do I uh foggy? I'd say this, but maybe you want to like a pipeline type setup here. In what way? What are you thinking? Well, again, past due is review date, right? So these are things that I need to work on, right? So we set. So if we're working on it together, if we're going through the planning from a product management perspective, here's when we say, okay, well, we need to come back to this. Let's schedule this. you are right in that there is some tags missing essentially from this, in that you need to do, it's not just what projects they pertain to, but there's a value proposition, I suppose, that you'd probably want to attach to this. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, is if I'm going to build this out to dog food this, then knowing which features I'm just throwing out there as ideas and which features are actually useful would probably be a good idea. Because okay, there's a few different directions I can go right a second, right? One of them is I need to do the changes stuff. I need to go deeper into the changes piece, make sure those pieces are working really well. It works for what it's doing now, but it needs more, because as I go through yeah, but I think that would have to be kind of tags rather than actual um well, needs scheduling is an interesting one. Um because needs scheduling, what you'd aim to do with these is you need to have an idea of, you need to run a readiness. But review date is just a date, right? It's a date that is forced to make sure that you can keep on top of something. So if I move this past, next week, but it's ready to be taught, like let's say it's upcoming, but it's ready to be talked about, then maybe that's one we pick up. Past due, after rambling you, past due with incomplete requirements is probably, yeah, I think a tag is necessary here. So kind of an incomplete, yeah. We need a status here. So what would that look like? That would look like, well, again, that's a prioritization thing. So past due, current, upcoming is um well, there are deadlines on you. That's the point of the review date. The review date is, I need to look at this by this point, right? It's not meant to be, it's so that it can't get forgotten. So it's not a deadline in terms of the business sense, it's deadline in terms of your prioritization, is to make sure that you can focus on the right things at the right times and schedule things appropriately. This might not look bad for most people. This might all be upcoming, and these labels can change, by these categorizations can change, but this is for your time management, not for anybody else. Now, the review date can be hooked in, so if you move a review date, if a review date is passed, people can be notified of the fact that the review date is passed, but really that's again for someone else to care about, right? If that review date is agreed upon as being something that is needing to be done, then you can say, okay, well, on this item, if this review date passes on this item, I need to be told about it, right? So again, flexing that notification system, helping people keep an eye on things and understand where things lie, is a component of what I'm trying to do, so that you don't have to worry about, because if I'm out of the office and this comes up due, then someone might need to care about that, right? They might need to know, oh, well, actually, I need to assign this to me, or that item needs to be worked upon, etc. This could be a review date used by the user to say, okay, well, now this is ready. Let's mark this as a review for next week, and then it'll be in my current view in the correct time frame, and I'm about to see. So the idea of these is that as they go past you, you're just going to say, okay, well, should I do something with this? Yeah, let's move that out to next month. Oh, that can move out 3 months because that project's been delayed. That can move out 3 months because that project's been delayed, and just push them further out. The idea would be that this list is not this big, right? So it's more about personal scheduling and accountability than it is about deadlines. That's why they're not. The intention is for these not to be set by anybody but the person creating the planning item and managing the planning item. Yeah. So these are to help you push on work that needs to be done. So if you've got a lot of past due stuff that's not ready, and some of these initiatives, like to your point, I think there is definitely a labeling system. I don't know whether there's actually idea, promise, need schedule specifically, but they are the idea that you could actually tag them. But I do think, again, working on your point there, I think there is a status that's necessary, and that is probably user configurable. Well, so again, we're at the point now where the application is to the size that it's actually there's a lot of different things I could work on in different directions here, right? So that's kind of what I'm like. That's kind of the stream title. We're now at a point where the software is big enough to have many things that could be done, but only one person to do them. So I'm like, I've got to pick and choose. Needs to be flushed out, needs more specified, needs more detail. Yeah, yeah. You could so there's let me make notes here. Ideas. You know, future features. So there's tagging, ability to add tenant customizable tags to planning items. There's status, which would be ability to apply a. Would this be tenant customizable? Bearing progress ready label your planning item. Still not entirely sure that's not user customizable. Kind of like a good first issue buffer planning items. Yeah. Notes need to be added as well. So kind of a point there. What's currently lacking in the issue? I don't know if you'd want to. Notes would probably be able to do that, right? Some sort of return on investment. I think you're not wrong in that respect. I think there is a definite benefit to having something that indicates the business value. I don't know whether that'd be met by tagging. So you could mark things in all sorts of ways, like high priority. Um, you think it's separate to tagging it? Right. So my hesitancy there is not because that's not a good idea. That's more of a, but it's more of a how a business prioritizes its work is not something I want to push an opinion on there. I think it's something that is definitely um, like I want to balance, right? Can a need be met through one system, or do I develop a specific feature for that, or do I? There's another challenge here. Do I develop custom fields? Custom fields, I think, would be a stretch too far at this point and would take me too much time to consider, considering the other larger items that I do need to focus on. So tagging status, still not sure that's not a user customizable one. Yeah, because you could fill the need even if there was a specific requirement that's separate to tagging. You could still fill the need with that because you could eventually. Don't forget this is going to be filterable. So and yeah, how they get there. What's the projects field? Projects is so yeah. The idea there is that again, PMs don't necessarily get to attach. So sorry, if a PM is working on a planning item, they don't necessarily know which projects it touched. We might break our projects down by um by actual products. We might break them down by teams. We might break them down all sorts of things. So there's kind of the ability for the PM to put, I think this belongs to, planning and notifications or whatever, so that the developers could decide that and say, well, actually, no, there's only notifications here. Or again, projects are however the company wants to available. For me, I've just kind of tagged them with the things I've got, right? Ticketing, UI, story planning, notifications, changes, etc. Right. So um it is, yeah. So right now it aligns to a module of the system. Yeah. Because then if you had planning and notifications teams necessary for work, then yeah. So that's the idea there. The idea of that is that you can label projects because it's funny because I've seen the switch from typically teams had a board and a board had a project. So the board was aligned with the project and the team. And now it's kind of a team is just a team, and a team has a board, but a team could be working on many different projects. So a board now represents the team's work and what projects they're assigned to. It's just work they need to do. So if you have a DevOps team that has to do deployments and stuff, there might be there might be a requirement in here that requires us to be able to see it. Well, we say, well, that needs to create a story for team A to do the actual visual part, but team B needs to configure the servers to do that. So this requirement can create two stories, and each team is assigned that work, but they might be under the same project, right? They might not be. They might be on separate projects, but yeah. So again, these are intended to be kind of deliberately non-technical. So yeah, boards now tend to align with teams rather than products, so that the product is fluid between the actual teams. But one of the things that I've realized as I've gone through this is the fact that what I will do is consider a view of this that's kind of a Kanban board for a product. So a planning view of where work stands consolidates the different team boards. So the team boards are the team's boards. Do you want some kind of capacity type thing in here, like a definition of the team? Not at this phase, because the goal here, I mean, I know it's planning. Um, the goal of this right this second is to get the requirements. That's my kind of primary focus. I see where you go in there, and capacity is definitely something that we'll need to get figured out eventually. Um, but realistically, yeah. So realistically, where that would come in would be because this is not. This is maybe this isn't um like full planning. Maybe this is an aspect of planning. But no, no. Um, dog is trying to talk to me now. Um, you'd have to be able to tell the business value for a set of products for that or something harder to implement for sure than tagging. I'm trying to think about when capacity. So capacity matters from a scheduling perspective, right? It matters from a okay, we have these planning items, but again, if you're switching to team-based boards, right? So your products are spanned across the teams. You're given capacity for any team is kind of fluid in terms of, well, you don't understand how much of a particular product relies on DevOps versus development. Um, yeah, well, it's useful as well from a scheduling perspective in terms of, okay, well, we have all this work to do. we've got it ready. Now, what's our capacity? And that's why I'm thinking, like, from the planning, as it's termed planning right this second, maybe this is now a little bit broader. If a planning item is part of an initiative, if an initiative, you can see. So one of the goals I have here is, once this creates actual stories, so these requirements would generate stories, etc. There'd be a stories tab on here, right? And it's showing progress. And the idea would be that you could go into the planning item and see the actual items that are being worked upon, all the stories that have been generated from this planning item. I've yet to consider one of the things I've thought about there, right? I haven't really considered how I'm going to do it, but is obviously the review date doesn't matter on the planning item once the work is underway, right? The review date is kind of the earliest of the stories that need to be worked upon, right? That's marked for review. So this becomes automatic rather than manual, essentially. But then the stories, you can see the progress on the stories, so you can see whether they're backlogged, they're in progress, they're completed, they're released, etc. So then the planning item would show some indicator of completion. Again, moving towards a world where the product team doesn't need to go beyond their product tools to see where work is sat, right? Once you create the stories, is realistically when you need to know about capacity, right? You need to know when things can be done, when, their priorities on those stories. And this is where we lose track, right? Because this is why the notifications are such a big thing for me, is giving people the visibility of knowing where things lie in the larger system. You want to feed it to the org so the developers get stage driven work. Since UI UX or marketing or something might be the start of the work. So yeah, what I want to do is build this to be a preparational tool, I suppose. Once you're ready to say these are stories, once the developers have agreed upon what are stories, that they've got everything they need to proceed, the stories are created, then you kind of get into that scheduling world. And again, the idea is, from a glance, don't forget dashboards, etc., have to exist for this. But from a glance, here's the work that we currently have outstanding. Here's where it lies. There's estimates on, 95% of the stories, and we estimate current burn down to be done in 3 months. You're going to sound like a squeaker one day. One of our dogs likes to de-squeak toys and chew the squeakers. He's fascinated by them. And defensive. Yeah. Goodness me, why does this keep doing this? I have no control over this. It's really frustrating. Okay, here's what we're going to do. How do I do this? Yeah, my parents let the dog get a squeaker and then they take it away. But she was right for the squeaker with a new toy. Also, the dog is spoiled. Yeah, these two are not spoiled. But they are big chewers. I have no recollection of how to turn off the ban list tactic. I'm going to find it and I'm going to... Eventually, it's going to let you talk when I don't do anything. There you go. You don't ban. That might be a Twitch bug. So all I've done there is I've clicked on your name. This may be due to a change in shared ban info settings, or this user may have been unbanned in a channel you have sharing relationship with. Right? So let me mark the user as not suspicious. I'm good. Monitor or restrict you. I don't know. That's what suspicious person would say. Um, okay. um, lots of food for thought here, Delta. Because you can see how the challenge now becomes there's so much work to do. There's so many different ways I could take things, so many different things I could focus on that I'm at the point where the application has really got big enough that solo dev's going to be very slow on this at this point. So I've got to figure out how to get to that dog fooding point where I'm not just, I can do this now. Yeah, it needs tackling. It's not like that's even optional, right? Because you do need to know about capacity planning and stuff. You can't just go, we've got all these stories. You need to know what your capacity looks like, without a doubt. I got banned lately from my channel. Hope I get tag suspicious. Tagging when near term as well as dog feeding. Yeah, I think there's some features here that we can. I think the first issue that actually does make sense is stats. I think that makes a lot of sense from a usability perspective. Then notes probably. So if I had to prioritize these, I would probably do that. Notes allow us to add context. Status allows us, and I think this one might be the one I actually pick up right a second because I think it would be very useful. I'm just in two minds whether I make this user customizable or so it's kind of like swim lanes essentially. No, that would be notes, comments. So notes, comments. That might be an easier one to tackle right a second. Yeah, comment. I think comments would be definitely useful. So status, notes, comments, tagging. Let's not lose sight of it. Prioritization. Um, So kind of what I'm thinking is I'd have a tag, a tab here that would be like stories. When once stories are created from it, and I'm in two minds whether to seal the planning item at that point, right? So once you say, yeah, we're going to create a bunch of stories off this, should that be it? I don't think it's realistic. I think you need to know. Um, I think from a changes in history perspective, it's fine. Master planning is an example of it would be nice if the software did, but you really don't have a solidified planning one. I mean, no, because that's not been my primary focus, right? My primary focus is giving people insight into what is happening. That's been my big driving piece, right? Because I do feel that that is what's lacking. So everything else is kind of, it can be added, absolutely. There's no benefit. There's nothing that can't be added, obviously. But once the facility to say, hey, by the way, I care about this thing, tell me when this thing happens, is fully implemented, then that's realistically the major um um the major selling point and such. So let's add, do we work on notes? I think we do work on notes. I think notes is a good one, or comments, whatever we want to put them as. Notes, comments, whatever. Let's do comments. All right, after work. Delta, thank you very much. Thank you for the brainstorming session here. This has been very useful and insightful. I appreciate the ability to, I suppose, riff on those ideas a little bit. That is not that project. That is Control Tower. All right. Project is Liquid Sky. Hmm. The irony here is I now could use the software to help keep track of what I want to build in the software. Because there's so many different things. Um, and we're at the point where I could go down the path of just developing jamming features in there for the sake of jamming features in there, which is a risky point. Okay, let's do an item. As a user, I would like to be able to add a comment to a planning item. So again, this goes into the world of this seems like a very simple feature. And if the system was a monolith, this probably wouldn't be too bad a feature because it basically like, okay, I need to add a table for comments. I need to add an API endpoint to store a comment. I need to add an API endpoint to read comments. I need to add an API endpoint to update a comment. I need actions for create, update, delete. Pardon me. And there we go, we're done. However, because the distributed nature of the system, adding a comment is okay. If we start from the UI, we need to add in a screen where we can provide a text box and we can add that in. We need to then send that to an API endpoint that is in a service, in the planning service, which then we create a table for comments in the planning component, which when that's added, we publish an event to say a comment was added, right? So we publish that comment and we publish an update to the planning item to say this comment was attached to this planning item. We then consume that data in the view side of things where we create another table for comments, for planning item comments. And now we kind of align those things and provide a view on the client side of listing that. So we need to update GraphQL. We need to create two tables. We've got scripts. We've got all sorts of things. We've got Kafka to deal with. We've got, yeah. So even a simple thing like being able to add a comment can balloon quite quickly into many different items and could be worked on in parallel. If different teams were working on things, these could be worked on in parallel. So it is a interesting challenge. Okay. As a user, when I work on a planning item, sometimes I want to be able to uh, a uh, hello, how you doing? Normally your body's telling you you're tired, getting some rest. I should be able to navigate to a comments tab on the bit more tired, to be honest. We should be on now. Wait, no, wait, since 5. uh, should be What about that cursor ID or whatever it is? Nope. Oh, Solly, by the way. Comment. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do that. I do not look at X/Twitter anymore. I've completely dropped off that platform. Cursor. Code editor built to make you extraordinarily productive. Cursor is the best way to code with AI. Trusted by engineers at. I would hope so. Okay, note to self. These organizations probably expect engineers to complete everything in a very short amount of time because the AI is going to do it for you. Oh my goodness me. Just hit tab. Literally VS Code. Oh, it's free. Except it's not. So enough to get you hooked and then realize that you need to pay $20 a month. So this one is to me. Using paint badly, apparently. Yeah. Background fill. How do you change the font color? It's everyone's Figma. Absolutely. There you go. That's what it's going to look like. Comments. Then we're going to do that. Actually, I kind of want. I've done that wrong. I kind of want that. I want this here. With that. And then we'll go with I'm a pro paint artist, apparently. That. And then we'll go. The funny thing there is that's blue. So that comments. Dogs chewing things make me nervous. That goes there. Goes there. Oh, that one, what is it? Crop. Let's add. So back here. Does that actually work? Nope, it doesn't. There we go. And then we need to represent. Oh, and we need You know, there's my mock-ups. So we're gonna add a comment. We're gonna put a tab in there. I'm actually gonna work on the UI a bit. Right this second, because it'll be a little bit more productive. Mojo is an FYI. Foundation development is updated with one event. Nothing major. But I merged that in this morning. Okay, so let's do this. New branch from development. New branch feature. T103. Ow! What? What, Missy? What's the matter? Come here. Come here. Come here. You got snot in your eyes. You got snot in your eyes. Eye snot. Add comments to planning items. So you missed a good chunk of conversation, which was pretty useful. Delta was brainstorming a little bit with me this morning. We kind of went over in Liquid Sky. There's probably need to have a status, right? As to where the planning item sits in terms of, you know, is it being prepared? Is it in progress? Is it ready to plan? Is it ready to create stories from? Is it, you know, whatever? I'm yet to decide whether I think that should be user configurable. Dog, my shoulder is not the ground. You are not digging a hole in me. What's the matter, Missy? What's the matter? You just want attention? Also, notes and comments. I think that's something that I'm going to focus on right this second. Again, putting out procrastinating on the change of stuff. Then tagging. Kind of talked about the need for the business to indicate the usefulness or whatever of a planning item, and being able to tag the planning item in whatever way the users want will probably be useful there. And then we talked about, you know, future down the line stuff, capacity planning and whatnot, prioritization. That's going to be necessary at some point. I just don't know how that fits into the overall plan. So, yeah. Yeah, we talked about that today. So let's branch that. Let's go here. Let's edit this one. I think this might actually be, no, I don't want that. I want this to be bare view. Delete that. Tagging just again, so you could do, you know, a bit again, apply whatever you want to do. Okay, I'm gonna be right back because I'm gonna have to take this dog outside. Be right back. Okay, I am back. Yeah, like tagging. Tagging will be a way of getting around some of the prioritization stuff temporarily until, thinking that through more. But being able to tag them is like so similar to projects, but specific or generalized to the user. This needs to be those as a specific example is more like, this has a good return on investment, this is a useful function, this is customer demanded, all those sorts of labels that you might want to put on something. Okay, so we got the bare minimum working there. So let's go and consider how we're going to add a comment. So planning views, planning items, components. So right now, attachments, requirements, changes, subscribe, these are all in here. So this would be the perfect place to put comments. So this should be relatively simple. So we add a new component. And this is comments, not commands. Skip tests. No idea how to do unit testing in the client. We tried doing that with backend and front end tasks. Yeah, I'm still not. In terms of tasks, I think once we start dog fooding this, that'll tell me a lot about some of the ideas I have or the opinions I have on how to do certain things. It's great to see other products and say, "Oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that," and fine. But yeah, once I start trying to use it, it's going to be interesting to figure it out. So yeah. What I'm thinking here is planning item detail. All this has to be is the tab panel header equals comments. I think comments make sense rather than notes. At comments. And this is going to have, what did I call that then? Identifier equals import string import dot required. So that should add. I dislike how it makes that standalone every single time. Planning module. Oh, so that didn't even build. Expected found name. App comments is not a known element. Should be. App comments. App comments. It's in the module. That's the point. That is the entire point of it being in the module. Ah. Exports. Why is it an export? I don't get that. Declarations exports. Changes list component. Changes. One day I'll get my head around Angular fully. Any day now. Okay, so that's working. It's changing. That's good. So if you're new to the stream and you're not sure what's going on, please feel free to ask any questions. I'm always happy to talk about stuff on the stream. Even if you're not new to, yeah. If you are not new and you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome to ask. What have you got? Oh, you jerks. If it can be chewed, it will be chewed, right? You just got that off your sister, digging holes. And also do not know what's going on. Yeah, you're more than welcome to ask questions. I'm sorry I took it off you. Thank you for bringing it me. I'm not sure that's a good reward to give you. You've both got mud all over your faces because you've been digging. My apologies. When Azure Cloud Service, and apparently that service type has been retired in a few days. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of notifications on the Azure stuff. Dogs are gonna dog. Yeah, we have a crater or 6 in my backyard right this second. And yesterday I found Taylor had somehow managed to get a SodaStream bottle and taken that outside, and that was fair game. I don't know where she got the SodaStream bottle from because it wasn't on the floor. No idea what's going what it's doing. Something PayPal. Yeah. Oh, Loki loves paper. Yesterday he ate a toilet roll, or rather shredded a toilet roll, and spent all day trying to get to it. So yeah, it was a challenge. But I'm gonna have to go. BRB 1 second. I need to make sure they don't run off outside again and start digging some more holes. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Once more. Xcoding. Did I say hello? I'm sorry. How's things? Chasing around after these two. Okay, so let's get what I was going to do there was I kind of want to do this in here. Add new comment. And then I want to do div class equals class doesn't matter. Doing good, doing good. Making slow but steady progress on the application. Hidden import p import p import what on so this will be what have you found now? One of those days. Stop eating everything. They're just running around, just chewing things. I can't stop them, so I apologize. So this is going to be input area. And right now, let's put type equals text there. You would type things here. And what I want to do is I want to put this method. So we need a view child, and that's put input area. And that's an element ref. And then this would be this dot input area dot dot what I'm trying to do is I want to remove the style. Element ref add remove class. Element ref. Do I really need renderer? No, what am I doing? I don't need to be that dumb. Hey Deathpacks, how's it going? Input is visible. I don't know why I'm being this dumb. This dot input is visible equals true. Hide this dot input is visible equals false. So what we do is star ng if input is visible. And then we can do star ng if not visible. I don't need to be so dense. Don't worry about styles. So we do that, we hit that, we have that. We do click equals hide, key down equals hide. So then we go comments, add new, save, new requirements. We need to center that button. Hey Napalm, how are you? So basically, that is that. That is that. Do all that. Not bad. Today's my Friday until Tuesday next week. Not bad. Today is my weekend day number 4. I've got off until next Tuesday as well. So, okay. I think this cloud service is a worker service that handles PayPal payments. Yeah, you best get on that one. I start working in 13 minutes. Oof. Okay, so what area is that? Yeah, being that we have Labor Day on Monday, I booked off this week and figured I'd just take a long week, get a break in. It's important to recharge. Never seen a CC project before. Me either. Is that for you to worry about? Plan item detail, plan item detail. We're going to add. Okay, so we're just using, PM. Okay, that's how I did it. Okay, text area. So we're going to do something similar. So, name, comment, value, value, comment, value, help. Right, second. Let's start with looking into what would break by migrating to the newer cloud service. And so I burn multiple PDO and many dots with. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, same here. Yeah, I have unlimited vacation. I'm now painfully aware of what that actually means. Uh, I knew. Unlimited just means if you quit, they don't have to pay you out, as far as I know. Well, unlimited means, yeah, it essentially does mean that, but it also it comes with, they can be difficult when they want to be over how much vacation you've taken. So you have to be careful how you use it. And what it actually ends up doing is people take less PTO because they're not sure about how much they should take or shouldn't take. So they end up taking less. So yeah. So yes, you don't need, when you leave, you don't need paying out for any remaining PTO days. which is bad. But I should say if you leave, but when you leave, invariably should be. Yeah. Why is that not full width though? Planning item detail. Suppose it should. What are you chewing now? No, dog. One of those days where they're gonna find everything they can. They're just in super inquisitive mode. Yeah. Okay. Let's create a form group. Form group. Form group equals new form group. Comment. Both luckily and unluckily, I'm stuck where I am. Luckily, because it's a relaxed environment, I have large quantity of system knowledge, which makes me hard to replace. Unluckily, because my pay could be better. Locating engineers can we really throw stones at them being inquisitive? What are you eating now? Don't chew anything. Comment is an. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about everything that's around me right this second. It's driving me crazy. Oh, they do. Our lawn people are probably gonna end up suing me for breaking their ankles on a um on a crater created by a little dog. 40-pound dog digs 2 foot deep hole. And then you fill it and they dig another 2 foot deep hole and then another one. So then now my one became 4 overall. So comment. Yeah. It got worse, not better. Hold on. Flex grow. Flex justify center. Why? See how that changes. Oh, that's healthier. I have to head out for work. That's the stream. I always appreciate it. Apex, thank you very much for coming hanging out. Appreciate it. Have a great day at work and see you again soon. Apex, thank you very much for the gift sub. To Decidius as well. Thank you. Have a great day, sir. Truly appreciate that. Okay. BR. No, I don't need that there. I need that. Review date, assigned user, associated projects. Because of that, I mean, buttons on there now. Of course. But I can't do that with a comment, so that's why. So we need a div. Let's do that. Div. Div. Class equals justify center width for. See what it looks like. It's gonna drive me nuts, aren't you? So don't mind that. PX2, PX4. It's P4 space. Well, let's make that a little tighter. Let's not make that quite as big as the parent element. Flex. Is that going to make the difference? Yes, it is. Okay, save. Okay. I'm good with that. With that. Now, the beauty of this is, because of the way the store works, I can actually put in the functionality to push this into the store. Without actually sending it to the server and doing all the server work. So this is why I'm still in two minds as to whether a story should be a component of the system or a story should be the entire thing, correct? Because if I make it a story, so let's go back to here. As a user, I would like to able to add a comment to a planning item. Technically, I can do that now with this, and the backend isn't even necessary, and I'll actually achieve everything that's in this story. That's implicit, and that's an assumption that's going to happen, right? But I could actually achieve everything in this story as it's laid out. I should be able to navigate to a comments tab on the planning item. I should be able to type, add the comment, and have it saved against that. So I could actually mimic all that behavior, and I actually have it go nowhere. And it would show on the comment. I could actually come back and forth to the actual planning item and see it until I refreshed. In theory, it wouldn't work that way because I'm going to have to load it, but yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking on something. So, but again, do I break a story up in, because from a development perspective, that could be a story that would add value. It just wouldn't work until the back end was hooked up, but it still would function. Everything would look correct. You could go in and test that behavior. But then do you create another story for the API to create the comment, do all that? And then do you create another story for the API for the publishing to receive that and consume it into the view, and then the view to display it in GraphQL, and then do you just, I should be able to see a list of comments I added. So if we're talking about small commits, if we're talking about little pieces of work, then it does make sense to break the stories up into little as they fit into a component of the system. But if you're saying, okay, well, a story should have user value, well, when does user value happen? Right. User value only happens if I can add a comment, then refresh the screen and see the comment. So what's the benefit? So yeah, I'm constantly chasing that that answer, I suppose. So yeah. Um, Looking at the viewers on the stream, if you are new to the stream and you have any questions about what I'm doing, you have any interest in knowing more, please feel free to ask. There's no wrong questions. I'm trying to build a platform for project management, and right now I'm just tinkering with comments. But yeah, this is an ongoing project over the last almost year of development. And now I'm looking at the feature set and the features I want to do. I'm thinking, I have not come very far in a year. But that is where we are. But yeah, I'm always open to questions. If you have any thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, please feel free. I'm not really particularly worried about getting development done. If people have questions and I can share a little bit of what I'm doing. Also trying to figure out what breakfast is at the same time. So let's does this go into a comment store? Does this need does it need a separate store? So I'm still trying to learn my way around signal stores to get a comfort level for the right way to organize them. So the signal store here, I have planning items. Quite a lot of behavior on here at this point. Add attachments, subscribe to planning item, add requirement, update planning item, add planning item, etc. And naturally, I'm thinking add comment in here is a useful thing. I'm starting to worry about the size of these things because they're getting kind of unwieldy. What I can do is I must run, so you may not have my company, but you do have my lurk. Then thank you very much for lurking. I appreciate it. Did I miss? I would feel awful if I missed it. No. Well, I appreciate your lurk. Take care. And don't hurt yourself running. Well, I very much appreciate it. Thank you. I often get to do that in your streams. If you haven't seen Thindle before, Thindle's another .NET developer. Works on a lot of migration from older .NET versions to newer, and is well worth checking out. super knowledgeable developer. I'm going to make a feature for this. I'm going to add a new file. This is going to be planning item comments feature.ts. We're going to experiment a little bit. So this is going to be with planning item comments. And so the way these work is you go into the store and you can do with planning item comments. That adds the feature. And now in here, we can create the methods like that. And then const item. So we're going to find it by that. Planning item identifier. I pretty much use identifier all the time to describe that. Is ID on this side because that's the only ID the client knows, but I keep referring to it that way. So I need to go back and decide how I'm going to be consistent. And this is going to be similar to what I did here. So this is going to, so I'm going to patch the state. So the state is kind of a combination. I don't know what the right term for this. I'm still trying to get my head around it, but state is basically you can make the state of the object whatever you want it to be. So the store has a state, and you can say, okay, well, it has different behaviors. So I have like request status, refresh status, and entities. So this will store planning items, but it will also have you can manipulate any part of that state that you like. So I'm still trying to really get my head around this. And then what I'm going to do is right now, I'm going to do patch state store update entities. So this is a method in signal store. And then ID is planning item identifier. And then changes is going to be yeah. Right. Now planning item is going to need comments. So we're going to do comments. Is in a comment array. Comment here. Oh, that's actually a thing. Whoops. Is a planning item comment. And that is going to be a model in here. Planning item comment .ts. And that's going to be export interface. And this needs to be an object because it needs an ID. Content is string. Now in here, there we can add that one. In here now, that's going to be content. And now we need to do let comment equal ID equals test. Content is content as planning item comment. So we're going to push that into the array of comments. And that should be that. And then we're going to get a store. read only store equals inject planning item store. Um, okay. So then when we save, if this dot form group is valid, this dot store dot add comment. You were a pain in my bum today. You're not going outside again and chewing things. No. No. You're noisy, aren't you? Oh, Missy. What? Then. So, there you go. It doesn't know what I want to do, roughly. So this shouldn't necessarily break, but it might not function exactly the way I want it to. But if we do this, this is a new comment. We hit save. It adds. So what we now need to do is in here. Dog. No. 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 Please stop. What we're gonna do is actually that didn't work quite the way I wanted to because that was set to when I hit the button or hide. What we need to do is hit save. So that was that. But we also need to do on constructor. We need to do effect, and then no, this dot store dot entities. Is that subscribe? That's not subscribe. Dot filter f goes to f dot ID equals this identifier. I still don't think that's correct. I'm going to assume that I'm not going to. I don't want to load the item up. I'm assuming that something else has loaded the item at this point. I've still got to get my head around the whole life cycle of where the signal store is going to get its data, when I need to refresh the data, how I refresh the data, so I can avoid caching. That's great, but what's going to happen right now is I've got no cache set. So when I click on an item in here, it loads the item from the server. It doesn't say, "Oh, do you have it in your memory?" It's just going to do that. So, yeah, planning item is a planning item, right? And then this dot planning item equals that. Oh, there's a way of doing single, isn't there? How do I do that? Query. Is it just find? Is that what that does? It gives me one. So is it just find that I want? as planning item. That's enough. And then what we'll do is we'll dump the comments out. Div for this is gonna be tough. Comment of planning item dot comments track comment id. Then we're gonna do div comment value. There's gonna be way more to that. There's gonna be who it is that did it, etc. But for right now, for the purpose of this, no, we're crashing. ng if comments. Let's try that. No, you just don't want to do that, do you? That just went all sorts of wild. Why did that happen? Debugger. If planning item and planning item comments. Okay. There is no comments. Oh, there we go. Testing comments. So we hit save now. There you go. And there's more comments. So I can go and navigate away from this, right? I need to leave that debugger in there. There's no comments there, but if I go back to here, those comments are still there because they're actually in the store. They're not on the server, but they are in the store. So the store is working. That didn't work though. Why didn't that work? Because that should have reset the form group and done this hide. More comments. That's working. Form group, form control, comment. That's interesting that doesn't reset. By the way, that is doing what it should do. So there I was trying to grab the planning item before it was actually loaded. That was actually a problem. But you see now, if I go back here, obviously nothing's there. So adding some more comments. So you could work on this as an independent story. You could work on this without actually worrying about the server pieces. That is the beauty of the Signal Store stuff. I can test this. I can validate the UI. I can validate all sorts of stuff on this. I could write the unit tests around this, right, for the UI, because everything would be correct. The only thing I would need to do is make sure that I don't refresh. I could mock up all the rest of the data. Now, in reality, what's going to happen is I'm going to finish out the rest of the story as far as the server goes and build all those pieces out so that then comments can be added to a note, to a planning item. I'm going to store these as a separate table. They're going to be associated with the planning item, published as planning item comments. And then, yeah. Overall, working as intended. But okay. So I am going to probably continue on this a little bit more today. Get that server piece wired up. I'm thinking that comments are going to be. I don't know whether planning item comments is going to be a thing. There'll definitely be comments on the planning item side, published from the planning items component. Comments as a service doesn't make sense. Like attachments is its own service. So when we add an attachment, that gets sent to the attachment service. When that gets an ID back, that gets published to the planning item and say, oh, by the way, I've attached this thing. Um, um, so yeah, the comments will work there. And then when we've got comments in place, then that does flesh out this a little bit more. And as I said earlier on the stream, like the status is probably something that's worth understanding as well. Figuring out, okay, well, and I'm still torn on whether that should be configurable or whether there should be kind of buckets. I think I might start with a hard coded version first of like it's, preparing, it's in progress, it's ready to be stored, etc. Might work at it from that direction on the first pass and see where that goes. But anyway, let's go and raid Andreas. Andreas is building his own game engine in C#. Very chill stream, very fun to go into. As is with most streams, my language on this stream is pretty controlled, but other streams I go to are always controlled. So I don't worry about that. But yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Have a great rest of the day. I will see you around. Take care, all. I still forgot to put the button on my stream deck. I'll do that right afterwards. Well, Lion, thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. I need to do better at shout outs as well. I do apologize. Yeah. Don't forget, One Lion is also an awesome streamer, and I need to do them. I need to get them in some sort of schedule. I always feel bad about not giving them the shout outs. But anyway, thank you for joining. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again soon. Bye all.